the skills that you get in a sports field, it could be any sport. It's your mentality, it's your positivity, it's how you. Like as I was giving my example last year, last webinar, that I come from the army background where I was one of the most lazy officers, and but I always had a very good report. And when I asked my boss finally when I was leaving the army, saying, how come you always give me a good report? He said, I judge a character of a person in the sports field as to how he behaves when he's winning. Is he trying to be arrogant? Is he trying to put the other person down, saying, I'm winning, I'm a champ? How is he behaves while he's losing? Is he cranky? Is he blaming the referee or the external environment for losing? Or is he trying to cheat to win? And is he losing his regrets? So what happens is when you play a sport, I mean, again, more for individual sports or even cricket, when you're playing a sport and you know that you're, if you're not, like you're not doing too well, do you get more aggressive? Do you get less passive? Do you let the other person dominate? So the true character actually comes out in the sports field because there's no time to think. It's not like when I'm building a business or when I'm thinking I'm making a strategy and I have a strategy. But when you're playing sports, no matter what your strategy is, there's also your opponent playing something. So are you letting him dictate your strategy? Are you still abiding by your rules? Or are you letting him change? So all that is what comes out in a sports field. That doesn't come across in day-to-day life. So for me, I think sports is the best character builder. It's the best learning that you can get. And of course, playing sports is also very good for your health. It's, forget the physical fitness, forget that you stay fit and all. It's also your mental being. Because when you're playing, you're positive. You're not thinking. Today, you could be with the whole COVID situation, with all the tension that you have. The minute you start playing, even if you're playing table tennis with a friend or tennis or any sport, you forget your worries. You're in the moment, you're in the sport. So I think sport is very, very important to build a character and to build a person and the true being of what a person is.
Right, so very beautifully put by you that, this is basically how sports plays such an important role in, the children's life. So you don't need to worry about what is going to happen in studies. You can always cope up, even if you don't want to play professionally. Still, it's actually advised to all of you that you should pursue some or the other sport in your life because it keeps you active and, very rightly said by Dheeraj sir, not just physically, but mentally as well. And of late, all of us have been more aware of what mental health can actually do. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
And also it brings about team spirit. I mean, like you're studying for an exam, it's you who studies. You study 10 chapters, you do well. You study 8 chapters, you don't do well. But in a sport, sometimes you're like in cricket, the other batsman might not be scoring, but you're scoring the bulk of the runs. So it gives you the importance of the team spirit and the environment, which will not get in any other, which sport does. You're pulling your teammates together, or sometimes you're not doing well, they're pulling you together. How you behave, you're bowling, you suddenly sixes. How do you come back the next over? Do you come back stronger or do you come back weaker? All these, and that builds a character. Forget the sport. It also teaches you more. So I think it's a great moderator and a great teacher. Sport.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. And with that, I would actually ask Rajkumar sir a very important question here. After Dheeraj has highlighted beautifully how sports works wonders in your life. Also, when children come to your academy, and I'm sure that you've had children of all ages, right from the age of 5 to 25, also coming up to the academy with a dream of becoming a very big cricketer. So now when they come up to you, obviously the basic mindset is to become a professional sports person. But at the same time, their parents are paranoid about studies and how they're going to manage. So in such a situation, sir, how are you able to manage both the things equally, and how are you able to help them and guide them better towards a cricketing career while still maintaining their basic, studies and so that they don't fail for going forward in their careers?
It's a long process. Look, we take the boys from at the age of 8, and maximum age we take are 18 years old. And in between, like when a boy or a girl come at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, they are enjoying the game. They want, their parents also want their boy should go to the ground. They should enjoy the game. They should be a sports person. But as soon as they come around 9th or 10th standard of studies, there is a big dilemma for the parents, that what is to be done, like where they will land up if they doesn't do well in 10th or 12th, if they don't become a good cricketer. And mind you, with our system, it is very, very difficult, to reach Indian team. It's not easy. I won't say, I'm not discouraging anybody for that matter. Sports is a must, and fortunately for in India, cricket is played everywhere, and if everybody wants to play cricket. this is a fortunate as well as unfortunate thing also, because the competition is such that it's really very, very difficult to reach at the top. So though the IPL has come, so there are new avenues opening up for the youngsters, but still it is very tough, reaching there. So when the kid reaches 11th or 12th, any parents would be worried that where he'll end up if he doesn't do well in sports and if he doesn't study also, because everybody knows, and it is but natural that studies suffers a bit. Very few cricketers are there, sports person are there who are able to manage it. Time management is very, very difficult, and when you are so passionate about the game, so your studies at times suffers, and so that becomes difficult for them. Before 10th 11th, nobody none of the parents is worried, nor even the kid is worried, but after that they become quite worried, because there is no future if you don't play age wise group under 19s or under 17, under 20. If you doesn't that, you will end up nowhere. You don't get the admission in even the college. And if you don't enter a good college, or you don't play good class of cricket, you don't get a job. It is unlike in our time. In university class, even used to get good jobs. All the banks used to offer good jobs, airlines, ONGC, escorts, Mohan Mekins. There were a lot of opportunities there. But now, unfortunately, there are very few opportunities for jobs for cricketers. I'm talking for cricketers. So it is a big, big dilemma, and I would appreciate all the kids to not, not to compromise with their studies, because unless and until you are in some very good hands, and your coach is very sure that yes, you can make it big, you have that potential, and you have that temperament, and you have that talent also to reach at the highest level. So I think side by side, you should always study, and you should not compromise, because otherwise you'll end up nowhere.
Right, sir. So it's a very important point actually put forward, because until 10th or 11th, things can still be managed. But going forward, then, after the age of 17 or 18, especially in our country, people have to make that hard choice of deciding between studies and sports. And like you said, the kind of job opportunities in government banks and offices have now gone down comparatively, because there's absolutely a tsunami of cricketers now who are trying for those positions. But so there's one important aspect that I want to bring up here, that even if a child, let's say for example, till the age of 17 or 18, listens to the coach and comes to a conclusion that they're not good enough to play professionally, but they've still been able to balance their studies, and going forward they can have college studies, and going forward they can apply for jobs in corporate companies, especially because companies are now becoming really, really passionate about sports. We see so many corporate teams. So as a coach, would you guide them that they should still continue playing and still be related to the sport, or they should absolutely leave it, because going forward again there is an opportunity that somewhere it can get them a job?
So, no, I won't recommend anybody to leave cricket. If you are passionate, you love the game, you should always play. You should enjoy the game, but you should not take it as a career if you are not good enough, or you have reached that age. Like in my academy, if anybody is coming who is 14 or above, we take trials. We feel that if somebody has not doesn't know the basics at this age for 14, 15. So there are very few chances for him making it big, because if you don't represent 16 or 19, it gets very, very difficult straight away for you to play Ranji Trophy for your state, or to enter the IPL. There are few exceptions always, but generally it doesn't happen. So for those who don't make it big, I won't say that they should stop playing cricket. They should enjoy it. They should love this game. And it is such a good game that it unites the whole country. It is a religion in our country. So they should enjoy the game, and they should play for fun. They should enjoy, and but they should not take it as a career, because later on it becomes so frustrating and depressing for themselves and for their parents even. So they have to be careful about it.
Right, sir. It's very rightly put. So for all the children and parents who are listening to this, they must observe these points, that you must play because you love to play, and it obviously helps you in so many ways, as explained by Dheeraj sir and Rajkumar sir so far. But at a point of time, if you have to make that hard stop, don't leave it completely. Still keep pursuing the sport, because it's going to help you in many ways. And going forward in corporate companies, you never know where your cricket or where any sport that you play can come in handy. But at the same time, shift that focus on studies more, because that is obviously going to further decide the course of life. Now, Nalin, because we've been talking about corporate cricket, I have a very interesting question for you. That the cricket in UAE has also evolved, especially if you talk about Dubai and Abu Dhabi, with the stadiums coming up, with the ICC setting up their head office over there. And you yourself owned a cricket team there for very long, almost 7-8 years. You ran a professional cricket team over there, which was playing A division. And you have all sorts of corporate players playing for those teams, and some of them actually ended up playing for the country later on.
Yeah.
So how do you think the fact that they still stuck to the game, they still continue to play, help them forward in their careers, whether it was getting a job in a company like Emirates because they hire a lot of cricketers, or whether it was playing for the country?
So see what playing a sport does. When you're playing a sport from an early age, it teaches you the spirit of working in a team. When you're leading a cricket team or any sports team for that matter, it teaches you qualities about being a good leader in your work. Playing sports opens up, especially in a country like UAE. UAE is not known for its big sporting endeavors or big sports team. Like Ranji Trophy in India, here the domestic cricket is all corporate based cricket. Jagrit, when you were coming here to play, you've played 5 years here as well. So that time you would know there were good 25 to 30 top corporates hiring nearly 20 players in their squads. And paying them a monthly salary to just come and play cricket. So and you would see that the level of cricket, because people were here from India, people were here from Pakistan, a lot of players here from Sri Lanka. So the level of cricket domestically here wasn't bad as such. So and a lot of them, almost 7 players from our team had gone on to represent the UAE national team. So yes, even in India for that matter, I understand there are a lot of the likes of ONGC, Air India, which do hire cricketers. They may have not played, the highest level of cricket, but if you have that skill, you have that quality, you have a good work ethic, it also ensures a safe future for you in terms of, getting a fixed salary, getting a job, working, and pursuing your passion of playing cricket. So, so apart from stimulating, your physical well-being, giving you a good run out and giving you exercise, I think playing a sport will also help you securing a future, and that's what we've witnessed in a place like UAE.
Right, Nalin, and that's a very valid point that you've made here. That a lot of companies hire professionals from different countries also sometimes. Like I remember Danube was a very big construction company over there. Yogi was a very good group over there, which used to hire a lot of players from India.
Yes.
So for all the children here, it's very important to know that there are a lot of associate nations like Singapore, like UAE itself, like even. In UK, if you go there, it helps you a lot in college admissions. In Australia, it helps you a lot in college admissions. So overall, if you continue to play sports, even if you're not able to make it at the highest levels, still there is scope for you to play professionally in these different places. And sometimes even within India, there are a lot of clubs which hire sports people to play. So, at the end of the day, if you are good in any sport, especially a sport like cricket, which is religion now in India and it's growing massively thanks to IPL all over the world, there are a lot of opportunities for all of you if you keep the right balance. Because we've talked about college admissions over here, we have the expert in college admissions from last 15 years here with us, Mr. Vikram Anand. So, sir, I would like you to put a little more light on how sports and studies correlate with each other and how you help children particularly in, strategizing their entire career right from a very early age and help them maintain a right balance, and what good does it do to children?
Thanks, Jagrit. So just to pick off from where Rajkumar sir spoke about how important academics are, and I thoroughly agree with him. I'm a firm believer that academics and sports can and should coexist. And the work that I do, the company that I formed, came out of this strong belief that they should coexist. And just like Rajkumar sir mentioned that, you might not be good enough, you may not be able to make it to, a Ranji team or a state team or a national team. So don't compromise on the academics. I take that conversation one step forward and I say that don't give up the sports, balance your academics, use the sport to get into college. And there are so many options in India and abroad that can help you get a athletic admission or a sports admission into a college. Now, here's the best part about that. You continue playing till the age of 18. You make sure you balance your academics and your sport. You don't compromise, and it's all about time management, balancing. And Rajkumar sir has dealt with so many children, and I'm sure he's been able to help them learn how to balance that. You use your sport and get into college. So like Delhi University, if we take it as an example, has a sports quota, right? So it has a 5% sports quota. You can use that to get into college. Similarly, Maharashtra University has a sports quota. All the state-funded colleges which don't have entrance examinations have inter-university sports. And while it may not be as well structured in India, but it is very well structured abroad. And students can gain sports admissions to a college in India or UK or Australia, study, go through college while playing your sport, and graduate with a degree in your pocket. Now, when you graduate at the age of 20, you're only 21 years old, right? And if I'm not mistaken, Rajkumar sir will correct me if I'm wrong, I think Virat Kohli made his T20 debut at the age of 21. So it was not like he was 17 years old, right? And he's 31 and he's the captain, and he's, I would say he's still at his peak. He's nowhere near, on a downward trend in his career. So you've got all these 10, 15 years of life to play sports. But the best part will be that you'll have a college degree in your pocket. So you graduate from college, and if you still want to continue playing, nobody is going to stop you. Your parents are going to say, fine, go ahead. You've got a degree in your pocket. You want to give it a shot? Give it a shot for another 5 years. Give it a shot for another 10 years if you want. You will always have a fallback with the degree in your pocket. So it's best of both the worlds. Graduate from school, use your sport to get into college, graduate from college, continue playing sport if you like. And maybe you don't want to continue sports after college. Maybe you say that, look, I played sports all through school. I played sports for inter-university level. And now I'm done and I've really enjoyed myself. And now I want to work. And that sports background all the way up to the age of 21, to add to what Dheeraj also mentioned, is that, companies will always give priority to sports persons because they know that these people, these candidates, they demonstrate high level of discipline, teamwork, and I would always, if I was hiring, I would always lay my bet on a sports person more than anybody else, because I know that they're disciplined, they understand teamwork, they understand time management, and I always say something which I love using this word, that if you're a good sports person, chances are that you're super intelligent. You cannot be, sorry to use that word, but you can't be dumb and be a good sports person. So don't worry about getting very high grades. You're just using your brains, your acumen on the field. That's fine. Learn how to balance your academics and get into college and play college sports. And then you want to turn pro after that, you're only 21. You'll be at the age when Virat did his T20 debut at the age of 21.
Right, sir. And that's a very interesting point. You can always balance these things if you plan it right, and if you strategize your entire career instead of just being too emotional about things. If you become a little logical, and even if parents understand and accept what the truth is, they can obviously help the children instead of pushing them in the wrong direction. They can actually guide them towards a better career and a better future. So thank you, Vikram sir, because you mentioned about how while hiring, obviously it's important for any sports company or any sports franchisee to see that what is a good balance, whether it's just academics or whether it's sports or academics. So I'm a little bit of a googly here for Dheeraj sir. Dheeraj sir, as a CEO of an IPL franchise, it's a very direct question that how much bias do you have for someone who's got a mix of a sports and an academic background as compared to someone who's got purely an academic background?
No, we don't go with purely an academic background at all. As Vikram was saying that, it's very important to have a mix of both. And he's right. Most sports people who are actually good are intelligent. The problem in our country is if you look at our education, I'm not blaming the education system, I'm not here to talk about that, but I'm saying it's all about book knowledge, it's all about marks, right? When we were growing up, some of the most intelligent guys in my class would get 60-70%, and the people who crammed and mugged would get the 80s or 90s, right? So it's and slowly you see the current trend is changing now. There's more practical knowledge. So for me personally, and not just for me, for most people in sports, you have to have a good blend. When I interview somebody, the first and foremost obviously is, apart from how the person presents himself and how he comes across, we just ask him, are you a graduate? I've never asked anybody, or in my 20 years of career, no one has asked me how many marks I scored. Yes, it's important right now. It is the most important right now in my 10th because it helps me get into 11th, 12th to get into college. But when it comes to your career and comes to your life, nobody's asked me till date how many marks. In fact, to be very honest, I don't even know where my mark sheet is. So if I need a new job and if someone says you need to get your 12th class mark sheet or my graduation, I don't know where it is because I've lost it. So I'm not saying it's not important. It is very important. Don't get me wrong. It's very important to be a graduate because studies is a different mindset. It gives you, every stage, every age it teaches you something. And being part of school, being part of college teaches you something. Like you look at, again, going by cricket, you look at the biggest cricket tournament till about, again, Sharma sir, you'll be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but the biggest cricket tournament in India, apart from the Ranji, was the Rohinton Barrier. Rohinton Barrier was an inter-college tournament which everybody played. Your Gavaskars, your name them, your Sanjay Manjrekar, all these guys that they played. Today what's happened is because sport has become so professional and a lot of people make money slightly earlier, a lot of people are not going to university, so they don't play the Rohinton Barrier. But it's slowly reviving, it's coming back. Again, you see, there is an importance. Also what happens is, even if you're a professional cricketer, like as I said, you look at a Virat, started at a very young age, but he had the educational qualification, he had the background, and that helps him think better, helps him think clearer. His talent is, which everybody talks about, everybody knows. His talent is only grown, but he as a person has developed. He's developed more being the captain. He's become more responsible. He's become more intelligent. He's become more compassionate. And that has changed over the 3-4 years because of his captaincy. And a bit of his education also plays into that, because maturity comes when you stop studying and you start playing at the age of 16, 17, your maturity does take a hit. It does take time. All these things are interrelated. So for me personally, again, getting back to your question, a blend of both is very important. Yes, a graduate is important because it just makes you've gone through the rigmaroles, you've gone through the, how I'd like to say it is, you've got that kind of exposure as well. And then being a sports person helps because then your temperament is different.
Right.
So it's a mix of both. But again, as I said, nobody really questions you as to how much you scored, it's not always the person who comes first in class will be the one who will do successfully in life, because life is ever learning progress, which we learn even today. At every age we are learning and every age we are evolving. So it's a mix of both, definitely a mix of both.
Right. And I'm sure, sir, your answer is going to make a lot of children happy who are constantly pressurized by their parents that, you should always get good marks and be the topper of the class. And, that mad rat race is always going on, putting extra pressure on children in deciding the course of their life. And sometimes, unfortunately, we also see a lot of bad incidents happening where children give up and sometimes, they resort to some other distractions because they feel that much pressure. So it's very important, the point that Dheeraj sir right now has made for all the parents to realize that if they have to go forward in life, and especially now where the ecosystem of sports is massively growing. Yes, sir, please.
And also if I can add, I'm almost 50 today. I still play every day. I have no chance of playing professional sport. I'm not good enough. Plus I'm too old to play professional sport, but I love sport and I think it helps me grow every day. So it's not only, like you say, it's not only about scoring 95 or 98%. It's also not about only playing professional sport. Even if you're not good enough to play for the country or good enough to play Ranji, you still play sport because it still develops you as a person. So it's not, for everybody there, parents or children, yes, we all want to play for India. Yes, we all want to come first, but we don't. And that's fine. That's totally understandable. But when you're playing sport, irrespective whether you'll be a professional or not, it still helps you grow. It helps you grow as a person. And I think that's very important. You should not only play sport because you think you'll become a professional. A sport is part of your daily life. And that is very important.
Absolutely, sir. And thank you so much for telling this out loud to the parents. And it's very important for them to realize each and every point that Dheeraj sir has made here. That it's your lifestyle, it's your mental health, it's your it's your physical fitness, and more than everything else. Even if you go forward and you look out for opportunities in the sports ecosystem, even as a corporate professional, sports and a blend of both will always be more useful as compared to someone coming purely from academics. So just make sure your children play. They go out in the play field, even if it's not competitive. They should have a group. They should have an outlet to play. Like Vikram sir also, he's missed his tennis game today to help you all with this. He has a 5 to 6 tennis hour that he told me about. But he's here just to tell you how important that is for all of you. And he's also balancing it well. He said he'll shift his Saturday game to the Sunday game. So that's how you maintain the right balance. Now, coming to the more serious point, Rajkumar sir, we have Lakshay here. Lakshay, can you unmute yourself, please? Lakshay, if you're listening, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, sir, for sure.
Yes, Lakshay. So you had a question that, please go ahead and ask your question. Rajkumar sir, can you hear us? Yes, yeah. Lakshay, please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, sir. Firstly, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yeah.
Sir, my question is that how to manage our schedule when the school is open, because when there's a lot of burden on children, because first they have to spend 7 to 8 hours in the school, and then after returning to home they go to the academy and also have to do their homework later on. So they would do, but their body did not support them. So how did we manage that?
Which class you are studying in?
So I'm currently in 8th class.
8th class. Oh, you are too young. You don't have any pressure of studies at this age. You should enjoy the game and time management. Yes, you have to do a bit, and at times sometimes it happens that few children come straight away from their school to the academy, and they have their lunch in the car only. And that is how they manage to reach the academy, because they love the game. They want to play the cricket. So it is only time management, and you have to be intelligent enough to do this, because as long as you are studying, you're doing well, your parents will allow you to play also. And once your numbers go down, they'll start objecting. This is a typical mentality of Indian parents, and rightly so. Because they are your well-wishers, and they want you to do well in life. So it is up to you to balance it. That yes, I have to study. At the time of study, you have to leave other distractions. You have to leave a few functions, going out with your friends. So you have to be very, very clear that these are the two things I have to do. Like I have to play and I have to study. Then only you can manage it, and it's not very difficult, because everybody has been doing it. And just be positive and think that yes, you can do it. So you will be you will be able to do it.
Lakshay, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, for sure.
Thank you, Lakshay. And very, very good point made by Rajkumar sir, that when you play a sport, play it as a sport. Don't take the extraordinary pressure of playing or performing or going to that Indian team. When you're playing, just play for the enjoyment of the game. That will always help you. And even those.
And Jagrat, I would like to add this for the parents also. Like if their children want to play the game, let them enjoy the game. Don't start thinking it as a career, that when they'll reach to the IPL. The first thing these days parents come and ask is when he'll play in the IPL, when he'll be on the TV, when he'll make good money. So let the children enjoy the game, because they love the game. So it is very, very important for the parents to understand that it is a game. Don't start dreaming it as a career for your child. If he will do well, he will reach the highest level.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for answering that question so well. And we have another question here from Aninand Sonavane from Maharashtra. Aninand, if you can please unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
So his question is for Vikram sir. Good afternoon. Aninand, please go ahead with your question. Vikram sir, if you could please answer the question for him.
Yeah. Please. Sir, my question is, when a child is in a class 10, so parents forced to them to stop a cricket for 1 year. But when you see it, the 10th standard is not that hard, or it is very simple. But why do the parents say the student to force to stop a cricket in a class 10. Now to convince parents for that.
Well, it's just sort of unfortunate that in our country, we have this huge milestone exam that happens in class 10th, and everybody believes that life or death situation and everything depends on the class 10th exams. Well, to some extent, those exams are only going to help you sort of choose your stream, right? After class 10th, and the board exam results sort of dictate the kind of subjects that you're going to take. Now, as times have progressed, we've moved beyond the standard streams of education. We're slowly moving. We're not really moved. We're slowly moving beyond the standard stream that he or she is going to be either an engineer or a doctor or an accountant or maybe some liberal arts course. The world is moving towards interdisciplinary study, right? It's all mixed up now, and parents are also hopefully slowly realizing that. So it's not the end of the world if you don't do well in your class 10th exams, but at the same time you should strive to do the best you can. And to specifically answer your question, and I hope your parents are also listening, and this is also for you, that maybe when there is a pressure, academic pressure, it's all about time management. It's all about balancing. Okay, so it's like preparation for season and preparation during off season in a sport. Treat it the same way. When you're preparing for season, upcoming tournament, you're working hard, you're playing more, you're working more on your skill. So when it's off season, then you're doing different things, right? Maybe you're doing more on strength and conditioning and lesser on skill. So treat the board exams as off season, right? Work on other aspects of your game, give enough time to the academics, try to balance both of them. And then once the exams get over, get back to your training for season. I hope I've explained that well.
Yes, sir.
So maybe if you were training 2 hours or 3 hours every day, when the exams are not around the corner, bring that down to 45 minutes to an hour. It's good enough. Remember, and Rajkumar sir will also agree with me, it's all about quality and not about quantity. It's about quality of training, not about the quantity of training. So when exams are coming up, focus on the quality of training, right? So learn to balance. And there's enough hours in the day. I mean, 24 hours, you'll sleep for 8 hours, you'll go to school for 8 hours, you still have 8 hours left. And in those 8 hours, even if you consistently study for 2 to 3 hours every day, you still have 5 hours to eat, watch TV, socialize, and play.
Right, Vikram sir. That's very well explained by you. Not just the fact that you're supposed to balance, but also how you're supposed to balance. So I hope that answers the questions of a lot of parents and students, and not just Anand, that how you can have the right balance between your studies and academics, and making small milestones, knowing where to change, shift focus from cricket to studies and studies to cricket. So that right balance will always ensure that you get the good marks, and at the same time, go forward in a career. Yes, Vikram sir.
I also want to mention something that, and a lot of time students get into these kind of conflicts. And I've seen this over the years, that in our country, November, December is the time when exams are happening, midterms are happening, pre-boards are happening, and that's also a time when a lot of tournaments are happening. So you are actually bound to get into an academic conflict year on year, right? So now what are you going to do? The best thing to do is to have an early plan. No school and no teacher and no principal will like it if you go to them and say, sir, I can't come on Monday because I've got a tournament going on. But if you tell them 3 months in advance, that, sir, I'm trying out for the district team, I'm trying out for the state team, can you give me some buffer? Can you give me some remedial courses, some remedial exams, some buffer exams? Plan ahead, because you're going to get into academic conflict. So set small milestones like Jagrit mentioned and plan the year.
Right, sir. Right, Vikram. So that's actually very useful because that used to happen in our school as well. In Morton, we used to give the applications at least 2 to 3 months in advance, and we used to even get a buffer sometimes for the exams. We were allowed to give them later or not give them at all. An average was taken out of the only exams that we give. So Anandan and all the children, you can always, and these days schools are also very, very active in terms of sports. So make sure that you have this plan in advance, and that will really help you. So thank you again, Vikram, sir, for answering this question so well. And which brings me to the next question, which I want to ask Nalin. And Nalin, you've had cricket literally in your blood. From knowing you for so many years, it's been inherited from your father, right? Right from 1996 World Cup when your company sponsored the UAE team in the World Cup to now, where you have taken charge of taking it forward. And you also actively used to play cricket for a very long time while you were still in India. Now, how did that shift from cricket to business and studies happen, and how much did playing sport for so many years help you in your career so much? And now it's brought you back to the game again. Like life's been a full circle for you. So
Absolutely.
put some light on that.
So when you start off playing cricket at a young age, you obviously start off because you enjoy the game, you're passionate about the game, you love being on the field, you want to learn, and at the back of your mind, a young child is hoping to make that into a career. Everyone dreams of playing for India. Everyone dreams of captaining India. For the last few years now, the first dream is not India. The first dream is getting an IPL contract. But there are only 11 players who play in a team, right? Not discouraging, of course, you should be one of those 11. But what happens once you have a sound academic background, it gives you, like a backup. Now, what happened in my case, I played cricket for almost all my life. Probably not good enough to play the national team. I joined the family business. Now, because I have experience in sports and I have a sound academic background, I've been able to come back to sports, not as a player, but around the sports ecosystem. So, when we watch a cricket match, we are just seeing the 22 people running on the field. But what, children here should realize that there are more than probably 200 people who are working behind the scenes to make sure that those 22 people are seen on TV. So from the TV production, the channels, the people who sell sponsorship and advertisement, all the administrators, the player managers, coaches, the physiotherapists. So there's an entire ecosystem that goes on behind the sport. Now, if you want to be connected with that just because you are in love with the game and you probably can't make it to the playing 11, then there are several other options for you to remain connected to the game. And that is the real area where, I've looked to, be associated with the sport. Just to build on something which, Mr. Dheeraj Malhotra was mentioning, at 50, he still looks to go out and play the game. Jagit, you are well aware of this. There's a gentleman here, he's probably 75 years old now. And you will see him every Friday and at least 2-3 times a week still playing cricket. And playing cricket 50 overs, staying on the field for full 50 overs. He bowls a bit of left arm spin. Last year he got Brian Lara and Brendan McCullum out at 75. Freddie, Jagrit,
Yes,
played.
yes,
He got you out. Probably.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm saying there is always a way for you. If you're passionate about the game, if you love the game, you will always find a way to be associated with the game. If not as a player, then around the ecosystem. But then when you're looking to get associated with the sport through the ecosystem, then your academics become a very important factor, because you're essentially looking to get a job and work around cricket. Maybe Delhi Capitals employs a lot of people. All the 8 franchises that play cricket employ. Star, being one of the largest broadcasters of cricket in India, have a full team working on it. Several sports agencies have a lot of people working on it. But then apart from the fact that you have played sports, you understand the mentality of a sportsman, you understand what goes into putting together a sports event, then your academics also become a very important factor to put that through. So finding that balance, making sure, like how Vikram sir and all mentioned earlier, you have your degree, making sure that you have basic understanding of how, you know, things function, and playing sports, getting that whole, you know, living that experience of playing as a team, working with each other, at times leading them, marrying those two will always hold you in a good position when it comes to sport. And there's longevity. It's not that, you know, even as a sportsman, you have to stop playing at 38. Okay, you may have to retire from international cricket, but you can still continue playing, you know, club cricket. You can continue being associated with the sports. Then there's age is no limit.
Right, Nalin. And, you know, since you mentioned Freddie here, I still remember this very important conversation I had with him, which actually left a huge impact on me. While, you know, it was actually during one of the IPL games when he was dropping me back. I asked him that, you know, what motivates you at this age to still continue playing cricket, and, you know, that too playing against all the professionals and bowling those sort of 10 overs or 4 overs in a T20 match. So, you know, especially when you have such a big business to manage as well. So he said the reason why I'm able to manage my business efficiently now is because of the fact that I play. So, you know, that's how important sports was in his life, and, you know, it still is, that it actually helps him, you know, staying on his toes. And, you know, like it was earlier mentioned in the discussion that said by Vikram sir, that, you know, a good sports person can never be dumb. So remember that sports will always support you no matter which direction you go in life, and it's always going to be that factor which helps you to push that extra yard, which helps you to, you know, stand up again if you've fallen down on your face. It will help you fight back and, you know, achieve your dreams and not give up on them. So, you know, the next question I have is a very interesting one. Naren, this one's not for you because you're still not a parent. So this one's for Dheeraj sir, Vikram sir, and Rajkumar sir, who've got beautiful children, and, you know, they're also actively engaged in sports. So Dheeraj sir, I'll start with you. That what weightage do you give to sports in the life of your own children, and how do you help them balance it?
A lot. I mean, apart from, as Vikram sir was saying, apart from getting their daily chores done, getting their homework done, I make sure that they are playing a sport. The advantage that the new generation has, which we didn't have, is unless you were good at a sport, we never got coaching, right? So I play every sport. Today I play every sport, but I'm not good at many sports because I have a homegrown way of playing. So today Vikram sir was to play tennis with me. I'll hit 10 very good shots, which he won't be able to return, only because my style is wrong. He'll start laughing instead of seeing the ball, because that's how I've learned at home, right? So with the advantages these kids have, they have access, because our mindsets have changed. First thing when my kid says, I want to learn swimming, I say, go to a coach. I want to learn tennis, go to a coach. When we were growing up, it wasn't like that. You want to learn? Here's a racket, go out and play with your friends. So we want, so most of the sports that I play in my way of playing, which is not the conventional way of playing. So a lot of people won't know what I'm doing. The shots are all bad. So that's one big advantage that the students have today, that everyone understands the advantage of professional coaching. As I said, professional coaching is not only if you want to play for the country. Professional coaching is also because you want to enjoy the sport. Now today, Vikram sir will be able to play tennis for 20 more years because he plays it correctly. So chances of injury are wrong. He knows how to approach the ball. He knows how to run, when to bend. Whereas we guys don't. I hit my shot upside down and I know I'm putting stress on my elbow, I'm putting stress on my shoulder. And also, I'm not as good as him because so for me, first thing that I do is, yes, I want my kids to play, but I also get them proper coaching. Now, obviously the coaching will not be at the level of a Rajkumar sir or that level, because that's not the ultimate aim, but they will be coached properly so the technique will be correct. And for me, it's again, as I said, it's very important. Sport is very, very important. So I push them to play sport, and I push them to learn it the proper way.
Right, sir. So Vikram sir, what about you? You know, your daughter is, you know, like I know about it, that she's a professional player, national tennis player, and, you know, now she's in the US. So how did you plan her entire career and help her reach the stage where she is at now?
Well, you know, tennis was always in the family. You know, my father also played tennis, so I, you know, was also a passionate tennis player, and I wanted my kids also to play the sport. You know, it's done so much for my life in the sense that all the friends that I've made, all the socializing that I do is all around the tennis, and some amount of socializing around my golf group, golf gang also. So, you know, sports has been such a lovely, avenue in life. And I wanted my children also to experience that. And like Dheeraj mentioned, you know, I put her on to professional coaching very early, like she was 5 or 6 years old. And then just like any other child, and a lot of these kids would have also gone through it, and the parents would have also gone through it. She also went through her ups and downs. She at the age of 9 or 10, she said, "Look, I'm done with this. I don't want to play." Then to sort of motivate her, I would take her to watch tournaments, and then I took her to Wimbledon. She watched it, and she was like, "This is real tennis. What I've been doing is I don't know what. So get me another coach." And then so so I sort of instilled that upon her, and then I was very clear that there's going to be no compromise on education. So the plan was very clear from day one that it's going to be tennis, and at the intercollegiate level, she's going to play competitive tennis while at college, and then she's going to whether she wants to pursue tennis after that, that's up to her. And you won't believe that she's a psychology major, but in her third year of college, she got an internship, a paid internship from Merrill Lynch, which is basically a financial company. She had no finance background. The only reason why they gave her that job was because she was a tennis player, and exactly what I said, that they realized that out of the hundreds of candidates that came to Merrill Lynch, they chose a sports person because they knew that when we give her some work to do, she'll finish it. And so that's the advantage of being a sports person. So yeah, structured training early, and don't be afraid to take risks, keep changing. And in fact, I want to mention one more thing that Dheeraj was saying, that I'm 52, and I still at times take coaching. I still go to a coach and I tell him, "Look, something's happened to my backhand. I'm not finishing. Can we work on this? Like, can we do some drills? Can we hit 200 backhands today so that I get my my muscle movement right, and I get the form right again?" So I still go through coaching.
Right.
Even if I'm just a club player, I'm just a recreational player, I still do it.
Right, sir. And because you mentioned about coaching, now I'm going to put the question on Rajkumar, sir, who's actually, not just coached children over the years, he's actually changed the life of so many children. I'm one of them, to be honest. He really guided me well during my growing days, and always had a stick behind me when, I used to be careless with anything. The kind of discipline I learned from him in the years that I trained under him was amazing. So Rajkumar, sir, again, this question that, even, coaching so many children each and every day, and, guiding them. So how important was it for your own children as well? How did you guide them and maintain that balance during this entire course?
Look, my daughter used to play tennis, but once she got into this course of architecture, she said that I'm done with this, and I want to pursue my career in this. So she left it, and I left it to her that whenever you want to start it again, you can always. And about the son, like you must have seen him in the academy. He used to come. He was not very active, and I never pushed him. At times we have got, like we can send 3 boys from our club for the trials. So he used to think that I'll send him for the trials because it is our own club. But I've never sent his name because I felt that till the time you're good enough for the selections, you work hard for it, and if you will be good, then only I'll send your name for the trials. Even once he went for the trials, but I didn't give my name also. I told him that nobody should know that you are my son. If at all you are selected by yourself, then only I'll help you. But don't ever think that I'll come and tell any selector or push anybody that he's my son. Please see him. So I never encourage that, and I encourage him. Just now, these days he's in 12th now, so he's pursuing his studies more. And because of the lockdown, there's no much of practice going on. So otherwise, he goes to the academy, and I don't keep him in my group even. He goes to the another coach so that he doesn't feel that it is his place, or that it is my father's academy. And I've told the coach that you have to be strict with him. You have to be with him like any other student. So it is very important that unless and until you have got talent and you are willing to do well yourself, nobody can push you, and nobody should push you. As a parent or as a coach, I never pushed him that if you want to play, you have to work hard. You have to make your own place. Don't go by my name that he's his son, so he should be selected. So I made it very, very clear to him, and now it is very clear to him.
Right, sir. And so, this brings me to a very important question that I would want to ask you. That the culture in our country, as we all know, it's it's shifting gradually towards sports. But still, if I talk about the parents' mindset, particularly, if they go to a school and they don't do well in their studies, it's always the children who are blamed. That you are not putting enough time, you are not studying well, you are not serious in your classes. Your teachers are fine, your school is fine, everything is okay. It's your fault. But now, when it comes to sports, it is the other way around. When the child doesn't perform in the field, the coaches are blamed, or the academy is blamed, or the whole structure is blamed, and sometimes the association is blamed that my child did not get selected because there is politics. Or someone coming to a DC academy, if he's not selected for the IPL trials, they say there is something wrong with the academy. So what do you have to say about these things, that how parents should actually think and behave, and how can we bring about some kind of equality in these two environments?
Look, being part of the system, Jagrat, I'm sorry to say the parents are right up to some extent. The system is not absolutely transparent. Let's be very honest about it. I'm being a selector and coach for Delhi for last 20 years. And still I'm saying this thing, so you can very well understand how it goes. So at times, parents are always also right that the system is not good. His son did well and still he was not selected, or somebody else got selected. There are few cases always in state side which are always questioned. So people take those examples, but I would suggest parents to look at the another 11, 12 players who select themselves, and nobody has to say anything for them. Nobody has to approach for them, or they are not the nobody speaks for them. They themselves get selected. It is one or two cases which are objectionable, and everybody starts saying that how come this player has come into the team, our son plays better than him. So I think the parents has to be broad-minded about it, and they should look for those 12 players, that those who are making it themselves to their team, respective teams. So system has a bit to improve, especially the age group system. So I believe with the transparency coming, the media is getting involved in the sports, and now everybody is able to see what is happening, and the transparency is coming. So I think things will improve, and the parents will have more confidence, and even the players will have more confidence that if we do well, we'll get selected, and it won't be the other way around.
Right, sir. And it's a great point of transparency that you've raised, which makes me actually ask Dheeraj sir a very important question. That recently we've had we have added Vijay Daya sir to our team, who's himself a very good cricketer, former cricketer, and now involved in cricket massively since so many years as a head talent scout. So as part of this talent scout program, are you also focusing on this aspect of cricket where the transparency needs to come in and talent needs to be picked up from the grassroots level?
I think for any sport too, cricket is in India, again, as Asma said, is an anomaly when you compare to other sports, because the kind of talent that is coming out is a lot. So I'm sure there's something going right as well at the grassroots level. But yes, grassroots is really, really important, because that's what gives you the next team of players. And I think that's what it is. Today, everybody wants to become a batsman. So that's why you see the number of batsmen emerging vis-a-vis the bowlers. So whether you take whichever aspect of the sport you take the grassroots at, it's very important, because you can never reach the next level if the grassroots level is not strong or not good. Cricket is a very different sport, because it's a religion in this country. So everyone's anyway working hard and everyone's anyway playing. But if you look at any other sport, the most stress is on grassroots in the current team, be it football, be it hockey, because that's where the gap will be a kind of bridge between the professionals and the people who are trying to reach that stage. Transparency is something which is, as a IPL franchise, obviously you're trying to be as professional as you can. It's more privately owned, so it's easier to be professional vis-a-vis other aspects of the sport. So transparency is very important, and we do try to, because in the end, it is an ends to a mean. For a franchise, it's very important to do well. Not that it's not very well to do for a state team or a cricket team, but the repercussions for a franchise are much more, because it's private money that's going in and the private funding that's going in, and And if you look at all the franchise owners, they're all top businessmen or top in their respective fields. So if they're putting in money, they're putting in money to get a good result. And I'm not just saying get a good result as in to come first or to win or to lose, but to get the best team forward. So for that, the grassroots is very important, and for that, transparency is very important. And that's why we have Vijay, because the advantage of having Daya is also, he's also a commentator at domestic level. So he's anyway there for most of the matches. So he's actually watching. When it comes to us, we go more on what we've heard. And, it's very easy to choose an international player because you know what a Virat is doing, you know what a Shikhar is doing, you know what Akshar is doing. But in the team, the teams that do well are the teams that have 2-3 very good domestic players. Because ultimately it is a domestic tournament. And that comes through the grassroots, and that comes through your transparency process. I'm not saying there's no pressure on teams to get someone to be part of the squad. But it's easy because you have a bigger squad. As I said, with a national team or a Ranji team, your squads are smaller. You have 14, 15 players. An IPL team, the smallest team than an IPL team is about 22, 23 players. So it's still easy to get your top cream and where the pressure comes from. But it's not that much in IPL as it is in other, because IPL is still very professional. And you're dealing with the top guys. So it's very difficult to put pressure on a top echelon than on somebody else.
Absolutely. So that's a very important point for all the youngsters, that, the effort that is being made by, the IPL franchisees, like, now Delhi Capitals is focusing on creating success stories right from the grassroots level. So it becomes all the more easier for good talent to be scouted at a very early stage. And then from there on, they can build on their careers. So for all the youngsters, stay positive, no matter what happens, and don't blame circumstances or any external factors. Always, ask yourself the question that, were you better than your peers? Did you do enough to reach where you are? So always have that question. And even for the parents, be more realistic when your children play. See their performance, see their effort, and then ask the questions to the coach or the academy that how well are they doing for their career. So it's a very important thing which we will discuss more when in the forthcoming webinars. But to end this webinar, I have a very interesting question from Pranay. Pranay, are you there with us? Pranay? Okay, so anyhow, Nalin, I'm going to ask you this question. I think Pranay is...
Yes, sir, I'm there.
You're there, Pranay? So Nalin, are you there with us?
Yes,
Yeah. Let Pranay, please ask your question, Pranay.
Sir, I am 14 years old. I study in DPS Noida. My coach was coached by Mr. Rajkumar Sharma. His name is Rahul Sharma. You must know him.
Okay. So Pranay, your question, please.
Yes, sir. Lately my grades have been dropping a lot, and I go to cricket coaching before my school and after my school. But because by the time I reach home, I am very exhausted, and then I'm not in a state to study anymore. So my parents did not allow me to attend the evening coaching, and then I only attend the morning coaching, which is merely 1 hour. So it is not enough to pursue a career in cricket and play only 1 hour a day. So my parents do not allow me to play because my grades have been lowering a lot. So
right, Pranay. So Naren, I'll just make this question a little brief for you. What Pranay wishes to ask is that how can he maintain the right balance between his studies and his school, basically his cricket time, so that he's able to maintain his grades and at the same time spend enough time to practice. Let me take you back to school days now. How did you manage to do the both and convince your parents to let you play?
So I think Vikram sir has touched on this topic very well earlier. So you have to find a balance. Now, if you really want to very aggressively pursue a sport, you need to be completely dedicated to it. Just because you are playing a sport or you're pursuing a passion doesn't mean you can let your studies suffer. So as a young child, you need to find a balance. You may not get enough time to go around meeting your friends. You may not, be able to watch a movie on Netflix. You may not be able to do all that because in order to study, in order to play sports, you also need to have adequate sleep. You need to You need to rest your mind. You need to rest your body. Because when you're playing, you're physically getting exhausted. When you're studying, you're mentally getting exhausted. And the best way to recover from that is sleeping adequately. So like how we used to do it, we used to finish school at about, say, 2 o'clock. We used to reach for our nets at 3. By the time we got home, it was almost 7:38 in the evening. We used to quickly, go home, have a quick shower, have dinner, get to doing our homework, and we used to try and sleep by 11:30, so that then we wake up at least have 7 hours of sleep before you wake up in the morning. So it's really, you have to now find a way to monitor your routine. You have to find a way to make time, find a balance, because it is very important for you to play cricket. It's very important because there's as Rajkumar sir, Dheeraj sir mentioned, there's a lot to do as a sportsman. And like I've been saying, there's a lot that goes on around sports. So in case you do not make a career out of playing cricket, there's still a lot of opportunity for you to be associated with sports. So for that, you need to start balancing. You need to ask your parents. It's not a bad idea to have a very frank discussion with your parents that, this is what is happening. You tell me, how should I balance both? Knowing your lifestyle, knowing everything, your parents may be at times the best guide, not us. But it's really up to the family. You need to find a way to balance both. There is, as Vikram sir pointed out, there's enough time in the day to study. There's enough time in the day to play cricket, and that's about it. I mean, I think our entire weekends, Jagrit, as when we were younger, used to go out and playing cricket. We used to start training on a Sunday at 6 a.m. We used to finish training at about 2 in the afternoon, and we used to get some time off then. So there is enough time. You have to make a schedule, and you have to stick to it. And I'm sure you'll be able to balance. I mean, everybody has done it. And Anil Kumble is an engineer he has an engineering degree, and he's taken more than 500 wickets for India. So, I mean, it's not that it's not possible.
Right, and also the fact that, academies these days, Rajkumar sir, maybe you can answer this better, that, even in your center, it's Thursday to Sunday, that, there's 4 days of academy and 3 hours. So 12 hours practically in the whole week that you're practicing, and add a few matches, let's say about 50 to 100 matches, depending on what level you are playing. So that's the amount you actually spend. Even in our academy at DC, we have 3 to 4 days, which is again between 9 to 12 hours of practice. So you always have that ample time in between to study. And, like Vikram sir had very clearly mentioned about setting small milestones. So make sure you're spending those 1 or 2 hours to study every day. And when you are closer to your exams, then you spend more time studying and lesser time playing. Rajkumar sir, if you could just, just enlighten a little more on this fact before we end the discussion today.
Jagat, you rightly said that is why we have kept it for 4 days in a week, so that the studies are also not hampered. And all the parents, earlier when I started the academy, it was 6 days in a week, and the parents used to come and complain us that there was a lot of problem about the studies. So we made it 4 days in a week, and we give them a plan for 3 days, that whenever you get time, you do this plan and training and everything. So that is how they should, it is for them to balance that timing, and time management is the must. And I think he's 14 years old, and he should realize now that it is up to him to manage that time, that how he has to curtail another things to play cricket and to study, because he's lacking in studies. That is why his parents are pushing him. So that is the first and foremost thing, that the study should not suffer. And if you are a good cricketer, your studies will never suffer. So I think somewhere or the other, I'm not saying criticizing you, but yes, you need to work hard in both the things, and just make sure that if you are focused, you will you'll improve yourself, and I assure you, you'll be a better cricketer and a better student if you are more focused, and you will work hard for your studies and cricket.
Right, sir. So thanks for that answer, and hope, Pranay, that answers your question, and it explains you very well, and all the other kids also, that how you can balance the two. So you already overshot the time a little bit, but I'll just take 5 more minutes, because we've come up with a very interesting question. Vikram, so this one's for you. Mr. Ritu Mathur, if you're there, you can unmute yourself and ask this question. Mr. Ritu Mathur, are you there with us?
Yes. Okay. Hi.
Hi, please.
I am the parent of a student, And this is something that we've been going through ever since he was probably about 10 or 11 years old. He's 18 now and going into college admissions. Sure, sport is something that you play. You know, when a child wants to do an IIT, he studies 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours, whatever, a day. And there's precious else that he does. When he wants to make a career out of sport, you know, isn't there a balance? Don't you have to put in your 100% and more to make a career out of anything? So while it is accepted for an IIT, why is it not accepted for sport? I'm sorry, you know, this entire session has been around balancing, but my question is quite the opposite. Why not do more than 100% in the field that you want to choose? And why in a sport is it that much more difficult? Whereas when you choose an option which is more career oriented through academics, you don't think twice about putting in more than 100% there. But if you choose a career which is away from academics, there is always this thing of balancing, because I think it makes you a jack of all trades, master of none, or there is a risk.
Right, well, that's a wonderful question. Vikram sir, would you like to help with this and help us understand better that how this is supposed to be tackled, a situation like this?
No, Tumam, that's a great question. I really love the way you've flipped the pan completely. I like that. No, but see, firstly, if you want to go to IIT, you're obviously not looking at becoming a professional cricketer.
Sure.
And you're going to put 100% in for the IIT. What I have seen, being a sports person myself and working with children, and all the panelists over here would probably agree with me that, when you see a student or a player at the age of 14 or those golden years of 14, 15, you sort of at that time know, and Rajkumar sir will have the eye to see that this child is sort of ahead of the pack in terms of his competence. So he's probably a Virat Kohli or a Sachin Tendulkar in the making, and that child would probably be identified at a very early stage to say put in 110% and probably compromise on the academics. The hard fact is, and I don't know if the kids would like to hear this, but the hard fact is that world over, and India is no exception, barely 1 to 1.5% actually make it to a professional career in sports. So, and that is why I say it's not about being a jack of all trades. That's why I say balance both. You have till the age of 30 to peak, and athletes are now actually peaking much later in the age, right? Maybe 30 years ago, 31 would have been the age to retire. 30 would have been the age to retire. If you look at tennis, we've got the top 4 players in the world who are way past 30. We've got Roger Federer, who's 38. He's world number 2 or number 3. So finish college. You can still play competitively. Nobody's saying that you're a jack of all trades. You can still play competitive, try to turn professional if you want to. Just don't compromise on the academics. And at the age of 14, 15, I'm sure your coaches will be able to identify you to say that, let's not go beyond class 12th. I think you can just straight away turn pro. So while there are the Michael Jordans of the world who went through college and then turned pro, there are also the Tiger Woods of the world who went to college for a year, dropped out, and then turned pro. Or there are, Shaquille O'Neal, who never went to college and straight after class 12 turned pro. So, but the percentage of that is very, very small. It's just 1%, 1.5%. So it's always important to balance both. I hope I've answered that.
Yeah, and ma'am,
as
just
a follow-up to that, as a follow-up to that, is it also because when you choose academic oriented careers, there is a fairly there is like a path. You know exactly what courses to do. You know exactly, that there are not so many variables. There are things, what steps to take, and therefore what takes you to the next level. In a sporting career, it's a very checkered thing. There are more variables. You don't know that, इसके बाद ये, इसके बाद ये, इसके बाद ये, ऐसे नहीं होता है in a sporting career, I think.
Absolutely, ma'am.
variables, yeah.
Just to give you a little spin, I mean, Vikram sir put it beautifully, but I mean, if you look at when you're studying for IIT, and I mean, everybody, when you think of engineering, it is IIT. When you think of medical, it is AIIMS. But what happens is, if I'm studying to go into IIT, I might not qualify for IIT, but then I can go into one of the BITS or Roorkee. If I don't get into it, I get one of the state colleges. If I don't get into it, I get. So there are options. I mean, that's the reality of life. So, but in sports, if I'm playing cricket and I'm only playing cricket and I'm not good enough to make it to the team, I don't have a backup. So it gets tough. I'm not saying don't, as Vikram sir said, if you look at the Indian cricket team today, without taking names, there are at least 5 or 6 players who are in the playing 11 who've not even passed their 9th. But that's because they had already, someone like Rajkumar sir or someone had already told them, like, look, you have the talent. Also, what happens is, those guys took the risk, and again, ma'am, I mean, it's very difficult to put it, but it's also the risk factor that you're willing to take. Now, if today, if I know that I have a career, I know, I mean, it's reality of life. If I know that, okay, I have a career and I'm working here, I might not be happy, but I know that, okay, fine, I'm doing something in life, and will I be willing to take the risk? Another risk that you take while playing sports is you could be the best. I mean, you could be a Virat Kohli, but what happens if you get injured? I mean, what happens if Virat was injured 10 years back and had broken his spine or broken something that he couldn't play cricket? Then what is his fallback plan? So sport is tough. I'm not saying it's not tough, but then also the remuneration is great. Today, if I go into IIT, yes, I make money, I might be financially well off, but I'm not a hero to the world. Today, a Virat is a hero to the world. And he took the risk. I mean, he's different because he became a graduate, but a lot of people are not. A lot of people like a Shikhar or somebody who's not past their 10 are still heroes to the world, but they took the risk. Are you willing? It depends also the way, are you willing to take that risk? And also, will someone like a Rajkumar sir pick you up early to say, yes, you do have the potential? And again, cricket is very honestly, such a difficult game that you could have the potential, you still could not make it because some external factors. And again, if you look at studies, today I am an engineer from the Indian Army and I work in sports. I do nothing what I've studied. So I could fall back to that because the exposure that I got, and as Nalin has been saying again and again, yes, ultimate aim is to play professional sport. I'm nowhere near playing professional sport, but I've been working in sports for 20 years. I've been working with leagues for 20 years, and that gives me my own satisfaction. And as parents, that's what, again, my advice to youngsters is, you work for 2 reasons. Either you get job satisfaction or you work for money. And for me, a job satisfaction is far more important because you come back happier. You know, I'm happier at home. I'm happier with this because I'm love doing what I'm doing. Yes, if I was IIT or if I was in a bank, in a private bank, maybe I was making much more money. But would I be happy? So I agree with you that, but sport is so difficult because sport is just one. Today, I could go for IIT, but if I don't get into engineering college, I could pursue a MCom or a BCom and still manage to get a profession somewhere. But sport is that's why sport is hard. It's not easy. And sport is reality.
So, that reminds me from what you just said, all this conversation that's been going on about that actor Sushant Singh Rajput. I watched his movie Kai Poche, and I loved a dialogue from that movie in which he says to a teacher, he says, ma'am, to run the 100-meter race under 10 seconds is harder to do than to get 100 out of 100 in mathematics at IIT.
Yeah, I remember.
Much tougher to run the 100 meters under 10 seconds than to get 100 out of 100 in mathematics.
Yeah.
Right. So I hope,
Thank you.
Shritu, that answers your question. And, it actually covered it was a great question, to be honest, but because it actually covered so many important aspects. And thank you, Dheeraj sir and Vikram sir, for explaining it so well and, helping the children and parents alike, with so much knowledge. So with that, today's discussion has been absolutely amazing. And, it was bound to be because this topic is such, it's a topic very close to the heart of every parent and child, where the parents are always standing behind with a stick and the children are always, thinking what to do. So I hope that, that level of equality will now be achieved in the mindsets of both parents and children after listening to such great insights. So thank you once again for all the parents and children who joined, and a big thank you to Dheeraj sir, Rajkumar sir, Vikram sir and Nalin for joining us and giving us such valuable input. So thank you once again, and we'll be looking forward to more webinars like these and educating more on these aspects so that we're able to help children and parents alike for the holistic development of the children and their careers. So thank you once again, everyone, and hope to see you all soon.
Thanks,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.